Live from the Score Atlanta television studios in North Atlanta, this is Georgia High School Sports Daily, powered by IBEW Local 613.
All right, welcome back to Georgia High School Sports Daily. I'm your host, Najeh Wilkins, along with Craig Sager. Appreciate you filling in, Craig. But we got a jam-packed show for you guys for today. We're going to bring on West Forsyth AD Brett Phipps. He's going to come on the show, talk about the latest with obviously their program, obviously in the Corky Kell Classic. We'll have my spring tour, take a deep dive into what I've seen so far during the spring period as well. We'll bring on Hayden for his Hayden's High School Hits as well. And then we'll also have Gordon Lee Baseball on in segment 4 to talk about them and the athletes. But Craig, what's the latest going on? Obviously, I know quarterfinals are kicking off for baseball, I believe tomorrow for most of the classifications. What's the latest just going around in the sport?
Yeah, there's some great games last night. In particular, on the girls' side with soccer, we had that Mill Creek-Lambert game, scoreless soccer game throughout regulation. They go into 2 overtimes, it's still scoreless, and then 3 rounds of PKs until Lambert eventually wins 10-9. Definitely a heartbreaking loss, but I mean, I'm sure that was just gut-wrenching watching that. Just a very stressful game. We'll see how they respond to that. And then I know we've been talking a lot about the Lassiter girls lacrosse team, but they had their trip to Richmond Hill. That was a situation. Both of them are a number 1 seed, even though Lassiter was favored pretty highly in that game. They dominated yesterday. I think it was 17-4. So another lopsided victory, running clock. Lassiter was able to put in the second stringers and the JV, get some players some great quarterfinal experience, but I'm interested to see, as good as Lassiter's playing back-to-back blowouts, now they have to play Milton. That will be a rematch. So will they be able to battle for 4 quarters? I feel like that result yesterday, we saw how red-hot Lassiter's playing, but now they got to take on the best.
100%. It'll be a lot of fun to watch them, and obviously Lacey Shorholtz and everything she is doing, obviously, on the pitch. But we're going to get started with our fast break headlines for today and go ahead and jump it off. So we'll start with local teams. Athletes looking to win state titles at state track meets. Craig, I know obviously you had this headline. I know you want to go in more detail. You cover track, so I'll let you take it away.
Absolutely. So this year will be an exciting state championship for track and field. It's going to be May 9th through the 10th. It actually used to be a 3-day event. They've condensed it to just 2 days. We'll have Hugh Mill Stadium in Albany, East Jackson, Carrollton, and Barron Stadium in Rome. Some interesting storylines. On the boys' side, Carrollton last year, this is the boys, became the 6th different team to win a boys' state title in the last 6 years. So there's just been a different champion year after year. This year, Westlake will be a big-time contender. Carrollton won last year. Walton was 2nd place. Westlake was actually 4th, but I feel like it's more open up. And then on the girls' side for Westlake, they captured their 2nd straight. They're going to go for a 3rd straight state title. In Class 5A, real quick, this is an opportunity for Hughes and Woodward Academy to each win 3 straight. Hughes won back-to-back last year. Woodward Academy won back-to-back also. Of course, Maurice Gleaton will be returning. I think what's interesting about him, he's only ran about 2 meets this season. The first one, he clocked a 10:01, right above that threshold. He wanted to rest himself to avoid injuries. Came out in the region meet, the Region 3 5A. Clocked at 9:98, the 2nd fastest high school time in the country's history, fastest time in state history. He'll be out there really fresh in the state championship. They'll need him in the relays, both the dashes. And then in Class 4A, the Westminster team, they swept titles last year, but on the girls' side, they're without Grace Smith, who is now at Southern Cal, an outstanding track and field athlete, and honestly one of the more versatile ones we've had. She swept the hurdles the last 2 years. She also won, I think, the discus with the state record, and she was actually the #1 point getter out of all the classifications, I think, the last 3 years. So here's an analogy, Najee. That Mill Creek team with Caleb Downs might have had enough talent to win the state championship, but he sure made it a lot easier just being able to rely on him. They lose someone that was reliable in winning multiple events and getting that point total. So I'm looking to see how Westminster is able to replace the production of Grace Smith, one of the best all-around track athletes we've seen.
That's definitely hard to do, Craig. I mean, somebody that's so versatile can do a whole bunch of different things. Obviously, Westminster will look to replace that production, but surely won't be easy.
Yep, and she's doing her thing at Southern Cal. But we'll have the track coverage, obviously, at scoreatl.com. That will be May 9th and 10th. It's going to be quite a year. And obviously got Tommy Latham, Mary Naismith, some of the best distance runners also. All right, we'll go to headline 2 real quick. 2-time defending state champion Lowndes faces Brookwood with the Final Four on the line. In response to Brookwood's strengths, the Vikings look to rely on their trusted rotation with Brinson Roundtree set to start Game 1 and Garrett Moon taking them out in Game 2. Coach Page emphasized that preparation, experience, leadership will be key. The seniors have helped guide the younger ones through the intensity of postseason baseball, continuing a tradition of high expectations within the program. Najeh, what's your just thoughts on what Class 7A baseball has been this season? Seeing Lowndes maybe struggle early, but being able to continue what they've built the last few years.
Yeah, I mean, Lowndes has continued to, obviously be that kind of staple team. I think just their ability to, deal with the adversity. Obviously, they play a, really tough region schedule. And you just look at their out-of-state schedule, too, that they always play, being in, obviously, South Georgia. I think that's helped them out a lot. We know they've obviously beat Parkview a few years prior, but they're getting a good test with this Brookwood team who obviously has a really good bullpen. They obviously have really good batters as well. I think it's going to be an intriguing matchup, but Lowndes is a team you can never sleep on.
Yep, and then this will obviously be at Lowndes. This is going to be tomorrow, Game 1. Something to watch right here. Brinson Roundtree, it looks like he's going to start Game 1 for the Vikings. And just think about how huge that first game is going to be in this series. It's all the way down in Lowndes. You feel like if they win that one, they're really going to be playing with a lot of confidence. But great, Brookwood, they've been on the road all playoffs so far as the number 3 seed. They avenged that loss last year to Grayson. So I feel like they're going to go down there with the confidence to be able to potentially knock off the 2-time defending state champs. All right, headline 3, the nominees are announced for the 33rd Annual Hollis Stacy Award. This is an award given for the most versatile female athlete in the Savannah area. The nominees have been announced by the awards director, Leslie Moses. Last year, it was Gianna Brown who became the first student athlete from New Hampstead to win the award. And real quick about her resume, she was a 4-sport star last year when she won it as a junior in flag football, basketball, volleyball, and soccer. And she is once again a top candidate to win the award again this year. The late Gary Moses started this award in 1993, modeling it after Ashley Deering, the Ashley Deering Award for the most versatile male high school athlete in Savannah. The award is named after legendary golfer Hollis Stacy, the Savannah High graduate who won 18 times on the LPGA Tour and was inducted into the World Golf Hall of Fame. So some pretty impressive nominees on there. Real quick, from Beach High School, you got Asia Pretty, volleyball player, flag football, basketball, and track. So we're seeing a lot of 3-sport athletes in the past, but with flag football really taking off in the Savannah area, a lot of these are 4-sport stars now.
100%. All right, guys, next headline. Jackson boys soccer upsets top-seeded Morgan County. They're one of the hottest teams in 2A. They pulled off what may be the biggest upset of the spring postseason when it defeated Morgan County 2-1 in the second round. As the 16th seed, the Red Devils were not expected to make much noise and were not even guaranteed to beat region rival Pike County in the first round. Pike County had won the previous 2 matchups, the first game 2-0, while the second was an extremely close game with Pike winning 3-2 in overtime. The first round was another close affair with Jackson coming away with a 2-1 victory. The second round match saw the Red Devils come in as major underdogs, but the upset should not have been a surprise. The 2 teams are region foes, split the season series, with Morgan County winning the first matchup 1-0 and the Red Devils winning the second 1-0. Their second matchup was just as exciting. The first half was scoreless, with neither team taking control. In the second half, the pair of Roland Lynch and Ian Rowland scored the team's 2 second-half goals to pull off the upset. However, Jackson's most impressive performance may have come from goalkeeper Dutch Guerrero. This season, Guerrero has had an amazing run, helping the team give up no more than 2 goals in any game. The Red Devils' playoff game was no different, with him allowing only 1 goal while making 5 saves, an amazing performance without which the team likely would not have come away with the win.
Yeah, that was a huge upset. We've talked about the postseason rankings, but I really feel like Morgan County was the team that earned that number 1, and you see Jackson, number 16, being able to pretty much shock them, and now it's going to be wide open in Class 2A. And as Hayden was pointing out, this 2A field is filled with teams that have never won a state title before. So this is kind of uncharted territory for all of them.
For sure. All right, final headline for today. Harlem baseball outlasted 3-game round 2 series. They will host number 3 Pickens in the quarterfinals. The Bulldogs won the first game 6-0, but lost 2-1 in game 2. A 5-2 victory in the decisive game 3 propelled the two-time defending champions ahead. In a heated mid-state rivalry, Mary Persons earned a 30-minute road trip to Peach County after beating Upson Lee 13-2, 14-1 in the second round. Peach County had little issues with Bainbridge after 11-1 and 13-12 victories. In a newly minted North Georgia rivalry, number 6 Cherokee Bluff will travel to number 2 North Hall for the quarterfinals. North Hall beat Heritage Catoosa in the second round, 6-4 and 6-5 there. The quarterfinal schedules are all set, but Class 3A's baseball and soccer playoffs will take place tomorrow and Thursday for baseball.
Yeah, very interesting. So that Harlem series was actually the only second-round matchup in 3A that went to 3 games, and Harlem's a team that probably has only lost a couple games the last few years. So credit for them for being able to handle that pressure, coming away with that 5-2 victory, and continuing this playoff run.
100%. Well, guys, going to do it for our Fast Break headlines. Coming up in our next segment, we will talk to Brett Phipps of West Forsyth to get the latest around the program and everything they're doing in all their sports.
Great teams are committed, focused on the details, and work hard to be their best. From practice to games, right down to their gear. Your field is a critical part of the game that allows your athletes to showcase their athletic abilities. Sports Turf is committed to bringing your team innovative sports surfaces with unparalleled performance. You bring the vision. Our team brings it to life.
This makes my dad proud. He went through his whole career as an employee. Now I'm the employer, something he didn't achieve.
We are signatory to IBEW and do IBEW people wherever we go that we feel like they are faster and better than any of our competition.
The advantages of being a signatory contractor is you're trained employees. You have unlimited manpower. It allows me to bid on jobs that I ordinarily would not go after.
We celebrate the athletes, the buzzer beaters, the record breakers, the wins. Now, it's time to celebrate the people behind it all, the advice givers, the community shapers, the game changers, the life changers. It's time to celebrate our coaches. Join all of us at BSN Sports and show your coach some love by sharing their story with #ThankYouCoach.
Man, you know how to do this? Man, I don't even know. I was flipping burgers last week.
Violation, unsportsmanlike conduct, impersonating a craftsman.
Skilled trade unions are well-trained career pros, not part-timers. Construction is a rewarding and lucrative career with the advancement potential, but you have to do it the right way with the right training. Learn how you can be a pro. Find your career at GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com.
Georgia High School Sports Daily is brought to you by the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 613. Electrify your career.
All right, welcome back to Georgia High School Sports Day. Remember, you can catch the show on the Peachtree Sports Network via YouTube TV, on the Atlanta News First app, and on the CBS Sports Local streaming app, Zine. And remember, the show is always powered by IBEW Local 613. All right, without further ado, let's bring on Brett Phipps from West Forsyth. Okay, they are still working on, obviously, Brett Phipps. Obviously, though, Craig, it's a team we've been around a lot. We know they obviously host one of our Corky events for the football. Obviously, they hosted flag football as well. Just real quick, before we bring them on, just your thoughts on West Forsyth as a program as a whole.
They're just solid. They're solid across the board. They're tough, they're competitive, and I feel like they're one of those just blue-collar programs. They put in the work, and they can compete with anyone in the highest classification. They've done it across the board athletically. Couldn't be more impressed.
Yes, sir. I think we have them ready to go. How you doing, Mr. Phipps?
Hey, guys. How we doing?
Doing pretty good. So I was doing a little research before we brought you on. Obviously, you have a pretty good career. 32 years as an educator, sir. 14 years at the school. Been there since 2007. Just talk about your why. Why you decided to do what you do. I mean, you obviously, been with this program for a while when it first opened in 07. Just why do you do what you do? Why did you choose education?
Well, I helped open West in '07, as you said, and I was on our football staff for 4 years until I became athletic director. Next year will be my 15th year as the AD. I'm originally from Indiana and grew up in a small town, small high school, local community. Everybody knew everyone. And sports just got in my blood at a very young age. I was a football player. I wrestled. And my coaches, my mom had great parents. Mom and dad are great, but your coaches become something special in your life. And I had a couple of guys that just really influenced me, and I always just wanted to emulate them. And everywhere I've gone, I've carried that with me, and I've been very fortunate to work with some really great coaches in my career, great athletic directors and administrators. And so it's just been a lot of fun, and I can't believe all the years have gone by like they have. But I just try to give back to the kids and the community the things that I got out of public education and the athletic experience, and that's really my driving force behind it.
For sure. I'm glad you shared that story as well, Mr. Phibbs. And I kind of want to explore that a little bit more. Obviously, you guys host our Corky Kell Dave Hunter Classic on Thursdays. You guys do a great job. Just talk about what that's kind of meant to the community. Obviously, bringing them in there. You guys usually have a really good crowd, especially when West Forsyth plays, but a lot of people come out and support you guys. Just what has that been like in terms of just the school, getting people out, and just, continue to build the brand?
I think it's been a point of pride for our entire community. I know it is for this school. And this is sacrifice for everyone. It's not just what we do on the athletic end, but we have teams rolling in here as early as 1:30 and 2 o'clock that afternoon, and we basically shut down the entire PE wing to use locker room space and gyms and cafeteria space and everything we do. And everyone's behind it. I have never once gotten one negative comment from our teachers, our coaches, our administration. It's always been a point of pride. And every year that we talk, or every 2 years when we talk about whether we want to do it again, I always tell IJ and Coach Hunter, I want to do it as long as you'll let me do it. We enjoy it. It's a lot of work. But again, it goes back to trying to give our kids and our community what we feel is one of the best opportunities there is in the United States, not just in the state of Georgia, to showcase what we do and how we do it. We don't always win, but we feel like we go out and we put the best product on the field we can, and our kids are always prepared and our coaches are always ready to go, and that's what's most important to us.
For sure. And before I bring Craig in, I just want to expound a little bit more just on your other programs you have. I mean, you look at the lacrosse team. Obviously, the girls, they have a good chance to win Division III this year, sir. The boys are in the quarterfinals. They're going to play a matchup here pretty soon. The soccer team on girls' side is really good. So just how are you able to, sir, hire the right coaches, not just in terms of winning on the field, Coach, but I know also that you're having to win off the field with education and where they go next. How are you hiring some of these best people across different just ethnicities, different platforms, and just varieties, and being able to kind of just stick out to these kids?
Well, I think the first thing that's very important to understand is that none of it would have happened without supportive administrators throughout the 15 years. And for them to make a commitment to athletics in the same way that we do as coaches is very important. The next thing is that, you want to get people, the most important thing to me as an athletic director when I go to hire someone is, what is your work ethic? Because at the end of the day, we make a little bit of money here and there, but we don't any of us do it for the money. We do it because we want to put a quality product out. We want to give kids and families the best experience possible in their 4 years. And then we start talking about what does that look like? And we say, well, we're going to model our program after the best programs in the state as far as the structure. We're going to make sure we have deep feeders that go all the way down into our elementaries. We're going to make sure that we work with our middle schools and our rec leagues at a high level, that we have an open relationship. That way we can all work together. And then beyond that, once you establish one, then you build the next one, and then you build the next one. And then eventually, and this is kind of where we are now, people reach out to us and say, we want to be a part of your program as a coach. What do we need to do? And I've been very, very lucky to have openings at the right time for the right people. And then, I hate to brag too much, but I am very proud of this. We're going to go into our next year will be our 4th straight year without any major turnovers in head coaches or major assistants.
Wow.
And in fact, I haven't even hardly lost any community coaches over the last 4, almost 5 years. And I just want them all to feel like they're taken care of, they're loved, that they have a place here where they're home. And if some of them want to move on and try to get a head coaching job someday, I'm going to do everything in my power to help you. But that's sort of how we started, just making sure we were doing things the right way. I'm a big believer in that. And I'm a really big believer in the harder you work, good things will happen for you. And I think we've got our staff and our families and our community to a point where they actually believe in that.
Great story.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was actually going to ask about what makes West Forsyth just such a great place for these coaches to want to stay. Obviously, you guys are playing in the highest classification, but just the success you guys have had, what makes it just that destination?
Well, I think they know they're supported. And I think they also know if they come in from someplace else that a lot of that structure we mentioned a minute ago is already in place. They don't have to start over. There's no building it from the bottom up. It might be a little few tweaks here and there. And education and athletics changes. You know, COVID was a big left turn that we had to catch up with. But at the end of the day, every 2 or 3 years, there's some adjustments that have to be made as far as the way we coach, the way we structure things, every group that comes through. And then the other piece of this whole thing that I can't deny is that we're very fortunate to be a part of Forsyth County Schools, one of the fastest growing states or counties in the state, and one of the fastest growing counties in the United States. Lots of people have been moving in this direction. And when you do things right and you get the right people around to treat kids the right way, then they want to come be a part of what you're doing.
Yeah, and talk about Forsyth County as a whole and just maybe that pressure that you guys feel that is on yourselves to be like the best program in Forsyth County, knowing that you're going to be playing all these rivals in all the sports, just how West Forsyth, which I guess you are a little older than some of the other schools, but how have you guys been able to establish yourself as a premier program in Forsyth?
Well, it's tough with Lambert. I'm not going to lie. I mean, without question, they're the gold standard in our county, and really, you could argue around the state. I was just looking at all the scenarios that we're faced with here over the next 2 weeks in spring playoffs. We may very easily end up facing Lambert in almost every state championship we make it to. And so, when you look at the number of state titles that Lambert's won, and Drew Ferrer, the athletic director there, and the job he's done, and the things that they've been able to accomplish over the years, you're always feeling like you're chasing them no matter what you do. And then you go back a little further, for years, South Forsyth was just one of the dominant powers around. So, you know, you never quite feel good enough. You always kind of feel like you're catching up no matter how hard you work or what you're doing. But, you know, we kind of to a point now, and this is how I feel anyway, I'm not really comparing myself to them as much. I'm more comparing myself to us a year ago or us 2 years ago. Where were we then and where are we now? And then really important to me is where are we going? What are we doing at the feeder level? What are we doing at the middle school level? Who are the kids that are coming up? It's a competitive environment, as we all know, not just in Forsyth County, but really all of North Metro. So you want to make sure you're constantly staying up in front of whatever changes are coming so that you keep the right people in the program, the right kids and families in the program. And then just trying to keep moving forward every day. But at this point for us, I really am comparing us to us as much as anyone.
Certainly, sir. Well, Coach Phipps, we appreciate you coming on, obviously sharing a great story and a great background on the West Forsyth program and how you've built it to where it is today. Definitely could take a lot away from that. And we just appreciate you guys, not only for the Corker Kell, but just being an exemplary program here in the state of Georgia, one to look up to.
Well, thanks, guys. I appreciate you having us on. Anytime we get to highlight our school, we're super excited to do that.
Yes, sir. Anytime, Mr. Phipps. All right, guys, coming up after the break, we will take a trip around the state and talk about the latest that's going on in the spring practices. So don't go anywhere. Come right back here on the Peachtree Sports Network. questions you have. Okay. I could just, tell you about it. No doubt. We'll let Craig lead it, and then
is this
questions he
the
has,
order
he just asks.
that you went in, or is it just random order?
Georgia High School Sports Daily is presented by GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com. Transform your future today. And by Smart Local 85. Sheet metal is a smart move.
All right, welcome back to Georgia High School Sports Daily. Again, your host, Najeh Wilkes, along with Craig Sager. So we're going to switch it up a little bit. I'm usually the one hosting and deferring to Craig. I'm going to let Craig kind of take it over and ask me all the questions, so it'll be a little bit different.
Yeah, so Najeh, you've been to quite a few programs so far. I want to start with Milton, though. You see, you went out to the Eagles practice. This is a team that was undefeated last year, two-time state champion, was, I think, ranked in the top 5 nationally at the end of the year, but very young this year. Some of those young guys are superstars. Landon G on the offensive line. Rusty says he might be the best offensive lineman he's seen at that stage. What was your sense just with the confidence of this team and maybe how you see the season going, like early on to maybe mid-year?
I think for Milton, it's a team that's very young, going to depend on obviously a lot of young guys, but guys that are hungry, right? You see on this play, obviously, Contavious Price, who I'm very high on. I think he has a high upside. Came over from Cedar Grove. He can do a lot of different things well, Craig. He's going to be the edge for them. Offensive line-wise, I don't think they're missing really a beat. This might be the most talented that they've had, I think, across their offensive line. When you look at Joshua Evans, number 55, as pictured there, and then you obviously look at Landon G, and G has a good chance to start as a true freshman. You know, it's not set in stone yet, but he does have a good chance to start. I like the way he's developing, the way he's growing, and it's a block that I was able to capture. He just bulldozes, obviously, Christian Pancake Hunter, who's entering his junior year. So I was impressed with that as well. And then also you have, like, defensively, they're going to pin on a young guy. And I think he's starting to kind of create some steam for himself, Keelan Wansley. He's obviously been in our Georgia Elite Classic. He was able to make plays on the back end. But he looks like he's going to be ripe to start at safety for them. So we know they've had Dylan Lewis in the past, Tyler Redmond. Those guys have switched off. That's kind of the next Mekhi Jones, who's at Duke. Kind of in that secondary, he's the next up for them, along with the Tristan Lester, who's very experienced at the linebacker spot, will play a little bit of everything. Really good defensive front. offensive line that I was very impressed with, and I think their playmakers is what's going to be the story, right? You look at Hayden Williams, he makes highlight reel catches. You take a look at Jordan Carrasquillo. He stepped up big in the state championship last year for them, and then Grant Hovland, my goodness, 4-star. Kid is special as a tight end, H-back, sniffer. He can do a little bit of everything, and he not only catches the ball, Craig, he also blocks really well too. So it's just going to matter on them being healthy. Maybe don't have as much depth as they had in years past, but a really good coach and a really good program. And I talked about it a little bit, and I'll say it here on live TV. Milton runs their program so well. When I came there, talked to Coach Reeves, he gave me a color-coordinated sheet with everything on it, with the players' names, their numbers, roster, their classification, or not the classification, but the class they're in 2026, 2027. I can't say enough about the Milton program. Everyone gets on them about the recruiting and everything. They do such a great job, and that starts with the administration with Ms. Sly, Coach Sly, and obviously Coach Reese.
Yeah, it's interesting. And real quick, just defensively, you're talking about Pancake Hunter up front, their secondary, they have a lot of guys that played. I think what makes Milton unique to me, their linebackers the last few years, they're hard-hitting. They were maybe the unsung heroes of that defense at times, just making plays, but they are not afraid to drop those blitzes and get those guys coming downhill in a hurry. So you were talking about, was it Lester?
It'll be Tristan Lester. It'll be him. He's experienced. He's done it before. He played with, obviously, Hayden Tumania, Aiden Ben. It'll be the same thing. He'll be kind of that blitzing guy down low, and then, obviously, Price will do a little bit of everything.
Interesting. Well, let's go to a team in Milton's region. It'll be a huge matchup. We covered the game last year. Let's go to Gainesville, a team that a lot of people are going to be wondering, what are they returning? What do you see with maybe their hunger early on in spring practice?
Yeah, I mean, a team that's going to be very stout defensively. A team that's really talented. When you look at Xavier Griffin, Jamarian Matthews, Caden Fosong, Jeremiah Proctor, who's going to kind of man the back end a little bit for them, probably play a little bit of everything. Pretty decent corners as well, but I think probably one of the best front sevens you could say, probably in the state. And then offensively, it starts with Kareem Hughley. It's going to be interesting this year. Obviously, I know they're still working through some wrinkles with the receivers and everything like that, but this will be his, time to shine. And obviously, Nigel Newkirk will kind of aid that a little bit with him being able to run the ball at a high end 3-star running back, has a whole bunch of offers.
Yep. All right, let's go to Gwinnett. You went to 2 Gwinnett programs. It'll be really interesting. South Gwinnett and then Brookwood. What stood out with those?
Yeah, so start with South Gwinnett. I mean, right there, I mean, he's like 6'6". That's Kobe Brown. Continue to come on. I mean, they got some really good pieces on the offensive line. I think nobody on that offensive line is any shorter than 6'3". So those guys are big and loaded. Obviously, there you see the linebacker, Zedric Patterson, really talented, could play a little bit of everything. I really like Evan McDowell. I think he's supremely underrated. I don't think he's rated on 247 or anywhere, but that kid can play. Athlete for them. Sam Dowdle is another one. He's really good. Micah Mitchell at the edge rusher, he really popped. And Sam Dowdle is who I was referring to. And overall, I think they finally have a quarterback. Usually they'll have an athlete at that position, but you look at C.J. Peoples, he is the complete package at the quarterback position in the 2027 class.
Yep, very dangerous team. We'll see what they can do. And then Brookwood real quick, Braden Tyson, a new coaching staff. How did they kind of seem in practice with maybe the firepower around him offensively?
So an inside look at Brookwood, I think you're going to see a little bit different offensively with Chad Nybert, obviously, as their coach. They were running a lot of up-tempo, Craig. They were going 5-4, and then next play, 5-4. So I think you're going to see a lot of up-tempo this year, obviously, for Brookwood. What I think is impressive, and it's going to help out Tyson, he ran for over 2,000 yards last year, won all-classification player for us. They have a really deep running back room. When you look at, obviously, Gross, Dayton Gross, you look at, obviously, Bryce Green, they won't have to lean on Tyson, I think, for all those carries, right? I think they're going to be able to evenly distribute it between those 3 running backs who are all supremely talented. And they got the best secondary, or one of the best secondaries in the state. When you look at, obviously, Julian Elsie, who I'm very high on, played a little bit of athlete when I came to watch him, playing a lot of receiver. But they got guys like him, Chris Brunson, Zaire Conaway. They got guys that can rotate all over the field. So I think that secondary is going to be something special to watch. And it's going to be very deep. And then offensive line, got to talk about Zayden Zeus Walters. He's really good. Can't wait to see what he does this upcoming season.
Certainly. All right, let's go to Peach County. They had a great season last year. How far away do you think they are at another run potentially to a state title?
They're interesting. The question for me with them is quarterback. Who's going to kind of emerge for them? There's a kid down there that I really like, Nigel, I think his name, or Nick Matthews, I think his name is. He's going to be interesting to watch, but who will emerge as the quarterback? I think they're still working through that. It's open competition right now. Really good defense, guys that fly to the ball. Bryson Hughley kind of mans that defense. DJ Toots, another one that's really good. Undersized corner, but plays well. Cam Cherry offensively is another guy. And then the offensive line, only returning 2 guys this upcoming year, but they do have a special one in Hunter Hill, 2028 class, recently mentioned on 3's watch list to watch for in that class.
Absolutely. And you, of course, have stories and quotes from all these spring practices you went to, but 2 more teams, Stockbridge and Kell. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, I'll start with Stockbridge, Craig. I mean, Stockbridge is loaded. That's Zion Robinson, as you guys can see right now, also mentioned in On 3's 2028 class. He dealt with a little bit of a hand injury when I went to go see him, but he's special. They got Javion Medlock, who's also really good. Zaire Patrick, I wish I could have showed the clip, but he just went over and skied over somebody for a catch. He plays DB. He's obviously very explosive. Good running back tandem with Alex Etheridge and also Edward Minor. Really good quarterback in Joshua Scott, who's a true dual threat. And that team is physical, man. They're going to make you feel them. So I think Coach Bama is doing a great job out there. They're going to be another team at 4A. They're going to be one to watch along with the Cartersvilles, Norfolk Conies. And then last but not least, Craig, you obviously talked about Kell. So Kell, I think Kell is a team that they should make a state championship. And the key word there is should. They are talented everywhere. Joel Comby, Jalen Williams, obviously Braden Rouse. You look at Nathan Agamiyang. You look at the quarterback, Caleb Narkisi. You look at Kentarius Mooney-Gibson, Tony Forkpa. I can keep going. Will they have the offensive line to give them enough time to make the plays? That's the key for them.
Yeah, that's a great point. We know they have tons of offensive weapons, skill players, but that has been something that has made them a little one-dimensional if they go up against, especially a team like BT and region play that has such a great defensive line. But Najeh, that was great insight right there. Really appreciate it.
Anytime, man. All right, guys, we're going to wrap up this segment. Coming up after the break, we'll have another interview with Gordon Lee's baseball coach. Don't go anywhere.
We celebrate the athletes, the buzzer beaters, the record breakers, the wins. Now, it's time to celebrate the people behind it all. The advice givers, the community shapers, the game changers, the life changers. It's time to celebrate our coaches. Join all of us at BSN Sports and show your coach some love by sharing their story with #ThankYouCoach.
Dang, where you get this car?
You need to join the union.
The union?
Absolutely. You can get 10 of these.
Union construction workers earn the highest wages with the best benefits and the most protection in the construction industry. Find your career in construction. Go to GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com and start your future today.
A journeyman with Local 85, when you turn out, you can be hitting 6 figures.
Hey, I have your back, you have my back. We're gonna do this together. We're one for all for one.
College just wasn't for me. Let's look into actual career jobs that wouldn't take college, where I wouldn't, lose money and all that. Instead of losing a lot more money at the end, why not make money and make more money at the end?
What happens after you graduate? Will you go to the next level? Will people have your back in the heat of the battle? Will you still train like a champion in pursuit of greatness? You will when you become an IBEW electrician. Join our team. Visit IBEW613.org.
All right, welcome back to Georgia High School Sports Day. It's now time for an exclusive interview with Gordon Lee's head baseball coach. What's going on, Coach? How's everything going?
I go good, man. Thanks for having me, man.
Of course, man. You guys are having a phenomenal year, Coach. I believe only 2 losses on the year. I mean, just what has allowed your team to just flourish? When did you know this team could potentially be special?
I'd say early in the year. We played North Cobb, went down there. North Cobb played for it. Played for it the last 3 years and then won it the last 2 years, and they're great. Jimmy does a great job down there, and we went down there and played, and it was a battle, man, back and forth. And I think that game gave our kids confidence and and gave me confidence too to say, hey, maybe we are pretty good, you know. So I think that game kind of propelled us and gave us the confidence, you know.
For sure, Coach. And then obviously a big win recently here over H Charter 7-1, 7-2. So just what allowed your team just not only offensively to score the runs, but defensively kind of just hamper down on them a little bit and not allow them to get going?
Yeah, Josh does a great job. We played Josh back in 21 H Charter for a semifinal game in our place, and I knew he was going to come in defensively, going to be solid, and they're going to be scrappy. And that's why I told our guys, just be ready, man. And our pitching this year has done an outstanding job. I mean, with Hayden Goodwin leading the staff, then Maddox, Millard, Caden Ellis stepped up. We had an injury in Dustin Day, and Caden Ellis stepped up. Jackson Scally out of the pen. You know, those guys have done a phenomenal job. And two, I got three guys that are helping me now that played for me. So Jake Wright come back and does our pitching staff. Hunter Hodgson, who played for me, he does our catchers, and then Tucker Bradley does outfielders and hitters. Man, you got three dudes that played for you, and they come back first year on staff. And man, it made me 10 years younger, man. So I'm having a lot of fun coaching with these guys. It's hard for me to call them like Tucker Bradley. It's hard for me to call him Coach Bradley or Coach Wright or Coach Hodgson, you know. But it's a lot of fun having them on staff.
Well, what are some new things, Coach, that they're teaching you?
Yeah, it's the memories, man. So anytime we're on a bus ride or we're just talking about old memories, man, and just kind of feeding off those memories, trying to push them and get this generation to make memories, man. Because I even told our kids early in the year, you know, it's fun to have these guys back and talk about memories, but I want to talk about y'all's memories. So let's focus on y'all, and that's what they've done a good job of coaching these kids up, and they're going to be great coaches. You know, they're still early, they're still young, they're all first year baseball coaches here, so it's they're going to be good. They're going to be good in the future. I just hope they stay here a little while. I know Tucker got a head job down near John Millage next year, and he's leaving us, but good for him, you know. I just hope the other two, they stay for a little bit longer than 1 year, man.
For sure. And then, Coach, just want to ask you real quick, you mentioned your pitching when obviously Jackson Ellis, Maddox Miller. I mean, both guys have been stepping up big for you this year, but Miller's been phenomenal. I think one game I seen you struck out like 7 or 8 batters. Just what has that meant to your team?
Oh yeah, I mean, like I say, it's just the confidence that we have in them, you know. And I'll say this too: we got a kid, J.R. Zymet is the catcher. I always say this: if you got a good team, you got a good catcher, you know, because he can make those good pitchers great or those great pitchers even better, you know. And he's done a phenomenal job behind the dish for us. Stepped up, and like I say, you can throw any pitch, any count. You don't have to leave it hanging. You can trust the pitchers. Trust to bury that one in the dirt or whatnot. So if you got a elite catcher, a good catcher, then you can have a pretty good team. And like I say, he can make your average pitchers better, or he can make your elite pitchers even that much better, you know. So he's done a great job helping our pitchers and giving our pitchers the confidence in throwing those pitches in the dirt or at any pitch at any count, you know.
Yeah, and then, Coach, I want to ask you about that first round matchup against Brantley County. You guys opened up with the doubleheader. You guys drop it 2-1. It seems like defense played great. Just one of those games you guys had to find an answer immediately in the next one. What was that conversation like, just having this big win streak going to the playoffs and then losing that first game?
Yeah, I mean, well, first of all, Brantley County is not a 32 seed. They're athletic as heck, and they play in a really tough region, and that prepared them, man. Well, I knew it was coming in, but hey, they gave us everything that we wanted, man. But between games, and I say this before we even play, I don't care what happens, win or lose the first game. It doesn't matter. Forget about it. You got to have short-term memory. So I don't care when. It's just like with Ace Charter. We won. It don't matter. Forget about it. It's over with. You got to focus on the next one. So we kind of get that mentality, you know, practices up to it. You know, it's a 3-game series. We just need to win 2, and I don't care which 2 it is. You know, first 2, last 2, first one, last one. It doesn't matter. Survive in advance. But that's kind of our speech between every game. You know, every first game, it doesn't matter. It's over. It's over. Move on to the next one.
Then, Coach, you're talking about your good play at the catcher position. I mean, what's that been like just with all these teams? You're talking about the athleticism, their ability to steal bases and hurt you guys in that, just being able to have a catcher you can rely on.
Yeah, I mean, that's, like I say, that's huge. To me, that's the quarterback. That's the, you know, if you look at any team that's won it or any team that's continuing to be good, they have a good catcher, you know. You can't have a dude that pass ball after pass ball or doesn't frame it up or a weak arm. You got to have a dude that can block it up and do all them things. And JR, he can. He can do all three phases exceptional, you know. And like I say, we're fortunate to have him. And any team, like I say, any good team, that's the number one spot. You got to get that spot solidified before you do anything else.
And then how are you feeling about your team just heading into this big matchup against Washington County?
Washington County's a good squad. You know, they play in a good region too. And, you know, they got the Ty Mobley kid, 6'7", 250. And he's probably going to go game one. And we're going to go our number one game one and match it up. And, hey, see what happens, man. So they're going to be scrappy, you know. Talk to some coaches about them and their quality team. And just be ready, man. So.
And then obviously the last few years you guys have played some tough opponents. I think you were in Class 3A, but what's your overall sense of what you see in this classification this year and just what you saw in the region?
Oh yeah, it's like I say, the region was 3 game. We did a 3-game series set Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and just kind of I felt like that prepares you for the playoffs, you know. And we got some quality teams there. Fannin County was a good little series with us. It was fun, man. That was a fun series. But I think that, you know, in AAA, we've been in AA before. We've been and like now, they could say it's single A, but it's really AA. You got single A Division 2, and then you got single A Division 1, which what we're in. It's kind of like we're in AA. And AA is really AAA. I don't know why they call it all that. I guess because they said they wanted to get 6 regions or whatever. I'm not into all that politicking and all that stuff. But there's quality teams. And, you know, we've been in, like I say, we've been in 3, 2, 1. Hey, there's been quality teams in every one of them. You know, I think, like I say, you just got to be ready to play, man. Be ready to play and keep fighting for your brothers. And that's one thing this team, like, this is no flinch. They fight for each other and just keep playing, man.
And Coach, who are some of the guys that have come up with just those clutch hits this year where you could really rely on them and be patient in the batter's box and take advantage of the right pitch?
I'll tell you what. It took us a little while to find our, you know, top 9 guys that's going to go out there every day. But I tell you the truth, it's been anybody and everybody. I'll say this, and I hadn't told the kids this, but I've never seen, I would like to go back, and at the end of the season, I probably will, but I've never seen a team score so many runs with 2 outs. So it's kind of like, man, anybody, and they just fight and scrap and claw, and I know one of the teams said you're just pesky, man. You guys, your hitters are just freaking pesky little outs, tough little outs, greedy little outs. And I think I wouldn't say there's been one guy. I would say it's a collection of them, and it doesn't matter who, where. But like I said, with 2 outs, you better keep coming at us and finish this, because I'm telling you, I'd like to go back and look and see how many runs we've scored with 2 outs, because I don't know if I've ever seen a team do this many runs with 2 outs.
100%. Well, Coach, I want to say thank you so much for coming on. Good luck, obviously, against Washington County in the quarterfinals. Can't wait to keep following you guys, and good luck the rest of the way, Coach.
Yes, appreciate it. Thank you for all you do, man, for these kids.
Yes, sir.
Y'all take care.
Take care, Coach. All right, guys, coming up after the break, we'll have Hayden on for his high school hits and talk about the latest he's working on. All right, welcome back to Georgia High School Sports Daily. We have on Hayden Gilbert to talk about the latest that he's working on. Obviously covered bass fishing this past weekend. Just did an article on, obviously, scoreatl.com, featuring 2A with a big upset win. What more can you say on that, Hayden?
I think just when you look at Jackson's upset win, it's just the fact, well, first off, it's something that we could have never seen in years past because the first 2 rounds of their playoffs were against region opponents. In years previous, without the rankings formula, we wouldn't have been able to see that until the semis and the finals for 2 games against any region opponent. Now they had 2 games in a row against region opponents. They were able to get revenge in both those games and upset the #1 overall seed.
And then, obviously, after this big win over Morgan County, who's a pretty good team, Hayden, what do you think is the ceiling for this team? Can they make a state championship, you think?
I mean, I think that to some extent they're underrated because they played in that tough region with 2 teams that were ranked ahead of them. It's going to be really tough. Shaw's a really good team. They have to play them this week. But I think they can at least they can beat Shaw and maybe make it to the semis or even the finals. But I think a team like Columbus is going to be really, really tough to beat.
Yeah, that's a great point about the regions because if you finish, like, let's say 4th in the region, you're going to be like a 20 seed or higher, so you can have that potential rematch. I mean, do you think so far this year that might be the biggest upset, though, out of any of the power ratings we've seen? Obviously, it was what was it, a #1 versus number 16?
It was #1 versus number 16, so it'd be the top overall seed versus what used to would have been the lowest. That would be 2 seed, wouldn't have been? Yeah, 2 seed. So I think it's at least the biggest of the spring sport so far. I can't remember if there was any in football or softball or any of those, but when it comes to spring sports, really the power rankings have proven to be mostly correct. So it's just really shocking to see that it happened.
Yeah, and in that case, it's like, oh, that team beat the #1, but the #1 beat them in the regular season. That's why they were higher. But huge upset. What else maybe on the girls' side have you seen with soccer? I think last time there was a pretty big result with Lovett and Wesleyan. Lovett just demolished them 8-1.
I think when you look at the girls' side of soccer, it's really stacked up how kind of I expected it to. Most of those teams were top 4, 5, or 6 teams that are now into the Final Four. I had Lovett over Wesleyan throughout the entirety of my rankings. I thought that Lovett, especially after that win over GAC, was a really, really, really good soccer team. While I thought Wesleyan was a really good team, but they were kind of inflated because they had such a good record. But when you looked at it, I feel like Lovett was the better team. I think they showed that to be right. And I think that they're the favorite to win that championship in the private classification.
Yeah, certainly nailed that 8-1, a huge result. I mean, we talked to Gordon Lee, you've been covering some of the baseball. I mean, what's your thoughts on maybe some of these big matchups and who your favorite is in, let's say, 6A maybe?
6A is really tough. It's hard not to go with Lowndes, even though that they're not having the season that they've historically had over the past 2 or 3 years where they're the most dominant team in the state. Like last year, I think throughout the entire season, we thought that Lowndes was going to win it all. This year, they're not nearly as good, but they're still a really tough team to get out. And when you look at 6A as a whole, because it's now condensed both a good bit of 6A and 7A, you have a lot of traditional programs that are going to be really interesting to watch, like Parkview, like Etowah, Pope, Pope's in 5A now.
Yeah, that's the big series. I mean, we got Pope, Houston County coming up.
Baseball.
That is the biggest toss-up I think I've seen it this early in the playoffs. You have the offensive capability of Pope. You have how solid Houston County's been, and none of these teams have lost a series this year. I mean, I think that one has that state championship feel.
It's a must-see TV.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, like you said, I mean, so many great players on both sides. I mean, if you had to pick, Craig, I mean, who would you go with?
Oh man, my rankings have Houston County 1 spot higher. I think Pope, though, has just with John Stutzer and their ability to have the power hitting, I feel like that just gets the dugout out and excited. I feel like if they get going with some big hits, some homers, Pope will be able to kind of have those rallies and really put pressure on that pitching staff for Houston County, where they know you give them anything in the zone, they will make you pay.
Yes, they will, obviously. And they've tested themselves all season, Craig, playing in Lake Point, playing against some of the top teams in the country as well. Hey, and one last thing I want to ask you about just I know I've been going around to different spring, campuses and things like that. Just what's kind of your plan? What's some schools you may want to see?
So the big one I'm going to is next Tuesday. I'm going to try to get down to Houston County. They're having an open practice. All kinds of college coaches are going to be there. And I think that they're one of the most interesting teams this coming season because they're really, really talented. But they're going to be really young, and they're going to be breaking in a new quarterback for the first time in 4 years. With A.J. Hill now up at Memphis, I'm really interested to see what they look like.
Yeah, and we'll get to see them week 1, so that'll be next week. Any other team that you're interested just in spring?
I'm interested to see I've been keeping an eye on 3A. I'm interested to see what Cherokee Bluff looks like. They're losing a lot from last year's team, and that team has been hot and cold throughout its existence. They won 2 region titles. They lost 1 regular season game those 2 seasons, then they proceeded to miss the playoffs for 2 straight years. Last year, they were really good, tied at the top of that region, made the quarterfinals, but they lose a lot going into this season. So I'm interested to see what Coach Jones and them are able to do.
Yeah, who's doing those 3A rankings? That's going to be a tough one.
That is interesting. I think I did them last year. So we'll see, obviously, if we keep it the same. I know me and you mainly did the rankings, obviously, Craig. I know you had 6, I had 5, 3. You did 2. I did Class A Division 1 and the Class A Division 2.
Yeah, I mean, you look at how wide open 3A was, and you were talking about Cherokee Bluff and Oconee County, Jefferson. I mean, they all were just beating each other.
They've been that way in every sport this season. Baseball, football, basketball, now soccer. It's really entertaining.
It certainly is. Well, guys, we're going to conclude today's show. We will have much, much more coming up tomorrow. We will see you guys same place, same time, 12 to 1 right here on the Peachtree Sports Network. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday.
Hey, is the power off on this?
I don't know. Just take it off. Safety violation, unsafe work conditions.
In the construction trades unions, safety is our highest priority, and we train you to recognize and speak out on unsafe working conditions so that everyone arrives and goes home safely. Learn about careers in construction at GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com.
Beginning the morning you opened your eyes, we spent every waking moment preparing you for the day you'd leave our nest. Whether it's driving to practice or helping with homework, it's all prepared you for, what am I going to be when I grow up? Will you be ready?
After much thought, I made my decision to take my talents to the IBEW Local 613.
The International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers is not simply a job, it's a career. Visit IBEW613.org to begin a new future today.
We celebrate the athletes, the buzzer beaters, the record breakers, the wins. Now, it's time to celebrate the people behind it all. The advice givers, the community shapers, the game changers, the life changers. It's time to celebrate our coaches. Join all of us at BSN Sports and show your coach some love by sharing their story with #ThankYouCoach.
Are you interested in becoming a deputy or a jailer? The Gwinnett County Sheriff's Office is hiring and looking for individuals passionate about protecting and serving their community. If you are 18 years or older, join our team by visiting gogcso.com for more information. Gwinnett County, together we can make a difference.